All right, guys, welcome to the talk. As you guys already know, this talk is going to be basically talking about the significance and misconceptions that people have about Ramadan. I know it has started just yesterday, so I do appreciate all of you coming along to kind of learn more about it and learn more about the significance and why people actually do it. There is a lot of or kind of information out there that is somewhat accurate, but isn't the whole truth about why we actually do it. So I thought it'd be a nice idea to come on and basically tell you guys a little bit about it. So, first of all, what actually is it? Well, Ramadan is translated to the hot month if you were to take a direct translation of it. It's the ninth month of the Islamic calendar, and it runs this year from the 13th of April to May to the 12th. Now, because it does follow the moon and not the British calendar or any other calendars, it is changing every single year. So that's why Ramadan always changes every single year. Usually it becomes earlier and earlier year on year. This year is from 13th to 12th. So we do basically start each month depending on when the new moon comes through. I think the moons usually cycle between like 29.5 days ish. So roughly following the same kind of length of a regular month, just changing up a little bit. Now, why do Muslims fast? Well, first of all, it is one of the five main pillars of Islam. There are five others like faith, donations to charity, and a lot of other ones, but that's one of the main five pillars. So it's a really key part of being a Muslim. There are a few exemptions that we'll go through later onwards, but the aim of it is not just food and drink. I know a lot of people do kind of know it for abstaining from any food, not drinking any water, but it's actually more so, if anything, a real personal development month. So it's the aim of it is to really develop yourself as an individual. We're going to go through some more of the things of what you actually do in Ramadan apart from food and drink in the future slides. But yeah, it's not just food and drink, but that is one of the key kind of foundations that you'll find, because I guess publicly we're not going to be having any food and drink around everybody else. Other than that, it's a really, really good time to really develop the community and have a gathering together. I remember in the second year of university I had, ISOC was running, well, iftar together. I'll go over what that is later. But basically, it's when you come together, pray, and break your fast together. And it's a really cool time to kind of gather everybody together and meet new people and really feel like you're in a community together, because you're kind of breaking your fast together and you really feel like a bit of a group, I guess. And it's a really nice moment, basically. And we should clarify, it's not a punishment. It's done by choice by everybody. We're not forced to do it. It's done because we want to. There's a lot of benefits that come from it. People say nutritional. You do have I guess, lower, limit to how hungry you would get. So I guess if you've been fasting a month, then afterwards, your limit of what food you'd want to eat before you reach your limit of how much you feel you need to kind of, I guess, feel full kind of changes as well. And other things like brain power, apparently. So things like, because you're not giving yourself the nutrients you need to do that, your brain kind of produces more of that to kind of facilitate. And once you have kind of come back, you've kind of got a bit of a cleanse, a bit of a detox, and your body is meant to feel a bit better after it. So there is other benefits just from just fasting, other than the food and drink. There's reasons why we do it. I know in big gym culture, people do diet. Intermittent fasting is one of the techniques people are using there. So this is just a more extreme version, I guess, of having it for the whole month instead. Now, how does it work? Now, it basically runs from the first prayer, known as Fajr, and basically that is an hour before sunrise. So usually you'll hear fasting lasts from sunrise to sunset, and it is basically true. The fourth prayer is when it ends, called Maghrib, and that is basically sunset. So when the sun's going down, that's when you end our fast. I think today, when I did it, I think it ended around 4:35. So I had to wake up at 4 a.m. just to get some food in, get some water in, just because to make it as easy as possible. We do like to wake up just before it does start, just to make it as easy as possible. Get your water and everything, and it is kind of a meme. You all kind of wake up and everyone's rushing down food. If you do wake up a bit late, then you're on ropes. You've got to just neck down as much as you can and just go for it. That's how it TikToks this morning about it. It was pretty funny. Yeah, so Maghrib is when everyone sits together. Usually it's a very family setting or in a group setting. You all sit around together, pray the Maghrib prayer, and when you sit around together, break your fast. Usually, traditionally, it's done with a date. So a date, I'm sure a lot of you guys know, it's usually done with that, preceded by water, and when you kind of had your food together and everything. And yeah, from that period to 4:30 a.m. You can eat and drink as much as you want. People take different approaches. I personally, I know I'm a bit of a night out. I do work a lot better at nighttime than mornings, as many of you might know already. So I'd usually take the approach of just staying up. I'm just like, I'm on a gap year. I have no 9 a.m. lectures, so usually I do just stay up until I do need to just fall asleep at 4:30 again. So at Ramadan time, I do usually, have a bit of a weird sleeping pattern, but luckily this year I can make it work. So I did mention it is more than just food and drink. So it's basically a way to kind of really build good habits, really develop yourself as an individual from abstaining from things like food, drink, sex, but also your lifestyle. So gossiping, impatience, swearing, really bad habits that people would usually have and a lot of us are guilty of. It's really making sure that you're abstaining from all of that and having a month where you really dedicate your time and really focus on doing this stuff. You do also pray 5 times a day, which is basically our equivalent of, let's say, like meditating. You're really spending that time in the day to kind of take away from your daily lifestyle and really focus spiritually on yourself. So it's a really good time to really better yourself mindfully, spiritually, but also as a person, your personality and how you go about things, really just bringing yourself together to God, but also the individuals around you who are also doing it, which I always find I always get closer to people I'm doing it with, just because it's a nice experience to go through. Now, there are some terms you might hear, which I thought I'd quickly go through. So Ramadan is a name of month, just like, May, July, April. It's one of the names of the Islamic calendar. So the month of Ramadan is when you do fast and have that experience. Eid is a day directly after Ramadan. So once Ramadan has ended, there's a holiday to mark the end of it where Muslims come together and celebrate the kind of end of Ramadan. And it's a nice time to kind of it's basically the equivalent of Christmas, to be honest, for us. We do really enjoy the day. It's really a day off to really celebrate, eat some nice food after not eating all month. And yeah, it's a celebration day there. Whenever you do want to, I guess, you know, give thanks or wish someone a happy Christmas equivalent, you would say like Ramadan Mubarak, Eid Mubarak, because that's basically the equivalent of saying there. So if you were to I guess even message someone that's fasting, you could message them saying Eid Mubarak at the end or Ramadan Mubarak, because I know Sammy did message me and I was like, you know what, it just means that little bit more just because it's somebody that's not part of a culture, but we still took the time out to kind of still use that language and use it correctly. So it's always really appreciated from us. Suhoor, that's basically the signifier of the meal you have before you fast. So when I did mention you wake up at 4:30 for your Fajr prayer, that is what we call Suhoor. Or I know some other people call it other things. So you got Sehri, you got Fotaballa. I know you got different names for it from different cultures, but it all essentially means the same thing. And then I think this is pretty universal. I think everybody does agree that it's called iftar. That's the one thing we can agree on. And that's basically when you sit down together, break your fast, and it's a really nice moment. And yes, okay, I know the internet knows, not even water. It's the classic. I feel like every single time I would go to school and I'll tell somebody that I'm fasting and they'll be like, not even water. It's kind of become an internet meme in the sense that you can't even have water during Ramadan. So, I mean, I would recommend not being the person that says it, because I guarantee you're hearing it every single day by somebody who doesn't, know about it. Not even water. So, I mean, you just respect it, and yeah, not even water. I will say the water is definitely the hardest part. I feel like a lot of people agree, like food part you can get away with. It is becoming easier because this time's in spring. Usually we do it in summer, so the days are a lot longer. So we do have to fast for longer. But yeah, the water is the hardest part, especially when you are giving presentations like this. And, if you are going out in sports and still trying to keep an active lifestyle, like cycling and everything, that can be really hard. So usually I like to tactically do that stuff towards the end of the fast. So usually I'll break it at like 7, 8-ish. It does change during the days, but usually I'll do it around 5 or 6, because if I do it in the morning, then I know I'm going to be thirsty the entire day. So you do have to position your exercising kind of tactfully, unless you want to do it after you've broken it, which you can also do. Now, I did set a challenge for a couple of people. I know Sammy and Emmanuel, I don't know if any of them are in here right now, but I set Sammy and Emmanuel a challenge of fasting just for one day, just to see how they'd find it. And they were both thrilled to do it. They were like, you know what? Everyone does it every single year. Let me just try it for one day. So I do open up a challenge to everybody else. If you would like to do it for just one day and experience the kind of ways of how we do it for an entire month, then go for it. I'd love to see your experience and how you kind of manage on that. But other than that, I don't know if that's 15 minutes, but that's basically me. I don't know how long that was, but I hope you did take away one piece of thing that did benefit you and kind of enlighten you about our experience in that month. So I'll open the floor up to any questions you may have.
Awesome. Thank you, Saadat. That was really, really good. There's lots of stuff there. I've written down like a page of notes, actually. It's like, wow, I didn't know much of that before. So that was quite enlightening for myself, definitely. And appreciating like the water's the hardest part, but trying to make it around your lifestyle as well. It's
Yeah, exactly.
pretty interesting. So yeah, definitely. And I guess I got a question first, and I'll kind of pass it around to someone else. Is given that the lunar calendar is moving forward, is it making it quote unquote easier each year because the days are getting shorter?
Yeah, exactly. So I will say it's easier now. I think the main part of it that I myself and a lot of other people who are students have struggled with a lot is for the most years it's always coincided with exams. So it's usually been June, July. You usually have a start of exams or the end of exams. It has become early every single year. So luckily, I think no one's taking exams right now, but yeah, because it has gone earlier, the days are shorter, so it's like you're not fasting for as long. Because before it is like 4:30 right now, but I remember days when I used to wake up at 2 a.m. and do it, and it would end around 9 p.m. So that's like 3-4 hours extra. So now, and doing it on top of exams is tough, because you've got no food or water, so you're kind of begging for it to be like a morning exam, so you can get out of the way and just leave it. So it is a lot easier now, but it has been worse.
Okay, nice one. Yeah, that's super interesting. Right, I'll hand over to anyone else who wants to just either start us off or I'll pass it around. I think Gunam, do you have a question?
I have to leave in like literally right now, but I'll ask my question right now. So my friend brought it up. It's really interesting observation. I never thought of it that way, but he said because like obviously you stop like eating like the whole day, and you have the whole day, so you save like about 2 hours on just like the time for eating, based on just like because you're not eating, so
Yeah.
much time is saved. And I was like, I never thought of it that way. Like, do you think that's a real thing? Like, do you actually feel like you have extra time in the day because
Yeah. I mean, often, I personally like to use food as like a break away from doing stuff and, spend that time while eating to watch stuff. And now you kind of just got that time extra. So I feel like, I don't know if it's just because I'm fasting, but the days seem a lot longer, I guess, because you're looking at the clock all the time, being like, oh, okay, there's only 1 hour left, 3 hour left. So each hour does seem a lot longer. So the time that you have got does actually appear that a lot longer than usual. If anyone does try it out, then you will definitely experience it. Usually around 3 p.m. Usually the last few hours are the longest whatsoever. So, I mean, it's an experience, but you just got to live with it.
Yeah.
Nice.
All
Awesome.
right,
Yeah.
I'll leave right now. But it was a great
Yeah, pleasure seeing you, Gunan.
So yeah, Gunam. Yeah, I think that's a pretty interesting perspective actually. Almost can save you time as well. It's pretty interesting. Anyone else got any questions, or I'll just pick on you if you don't. So anyone else? Sammy?
Yeah, I was going to ask, what's your go-to iftar? Is it, or your like
Star.
iftar? Yeah.
Well, luckily this year I've got my mum's cooking, but yeah, usually what I would have is I would have a date to break it, then I'd have some water, and then usually my mum makes something called I'm having a mind blank, but it's usually this soft rice type of food. It's part of my culture, so you might not know it, but yeah, it's a very easy to eat food. And then usually watermelons. Watermelons are different in Ramadan. Once you haven't been drinking any water or eating all day, when you have a nice juicy watermelon, it's just the best feeling ever. Just because it's like got so much water, it tastes lovely. It tastes completely different when you have it during any other time of year. I'm sure Soma can relate since she's doing it also.
Yeah, no, my mum actually bought a watermelon today. And
Yeah.
I'm actually such a numpty, right? Because obviously I'm fasting today and I have this jug of water in front of me. And I keep looking at this jug of water and I'm just like, all I want to do is drink this jug of water. But it's like, I kind of do that on purpose just so I can be grateful for this jug of water. You just got to do. Not going to lie, I think it was yesterday, I woke up like 4 on the dot and I was like, I need to get up. I need to go and eat. I was like running to the kitchen. I was like,
Yeah, oh my God. That's me as well, yeah.
ropes. I was like, oh my God, that was me yesterday. But no, this morning I was got up at 3:30 actually. But my sleeping pattern's already ruined in 2 days, which is quite annoying, but
Yeah, it does ruin it. Yeah. I mean, yeah,
Oh,
that was me on the first day as well. I legit ran down, realizing I ran out of time. So it's kind of a meme as well when you run down and just like chugging down as much water, drinking as much food as possible. So it's funny, but I'd love to hear your opinion, Miss Soma. I know that me myself, I don't really mind when others like eat in front of me or like drink in front of me, just because I don't know, I'm just kind of used to it. I've been doing it for half my life, so it's just like a very normal thing. Doesn't really, have any temptation on me. But you mentioning the water, does that actually is that actually something you mind? Because I guess it might vary from person to person.
no, I don't mind when people like, because obviously, like, when we're back in school, like secondary school and stuff, when you would fast, like, everyone would eat in front of me, like, everyone drink in front of me, like, everyone would be like, oh my days, like, we don't want to eat or drink in front of you, like, we feel really bad. But I'm like, no, it's absolutely fine. And to be honest, I actually like it. I know it sounds a bit weird, but the reason I like it because it makes me more grateful for like the food and water. Like, that's kind of
Mm,
part of the process is be grateful for what you have. Like, for example, this jug of water in front of me. I am grateful. I'm so much more grateful for this water, which is something so basic that we have in our life, but you don't really like realize like the basic things you have, like how grateful you should be for it. So yeah, I've never had an issue. I know some people do, some people don't like it, but I think it's good. I think it makes me more grateful for things.
yeah. And I'm Matt had a question. He said, Sadat mentioned that as well as fasting the element, there was a personal growth aspect to it. What stuff do you personal growth? So similar to meditation, it is a big shift in both personality and mindset. So that if I'm talking about mindset, is obviously you do pray 5 times a day, but it's a really small things about controlling even your thoughts and everything, like not having negative thoughts and opinions about somebody. I know something that I do is if I do think about a negative thing that I shouldn't be thinking about somebody, I try to list 5 things good about them to kind of contradict that, to kind of really get in the mentality of being a positive thinker. And I think that's one of the hardest parts. You can change like your personality by like abstaining from swearing and everything, but even changing like the thoughts you have and how you think is a really big part of it as well. So really humbling yourself from taking away the bare necessities of food and drink, but also really then translating that onto like habits and the way you think, your lifestyle and everything around that as well.
Awesome. And you got Helen as well.
It's quite a Loughborough specific question, so apologies to anyone who doesn't go to Loughborough. But one of my best friends, he's in my flat. He's going to be observing Ramadan, and we don't know yet how the university supports him in terms of providing meals. And I just wanted to, because you've been at uni for a couple of years now,
Yeah.
I just want to understand, how do the uni support students who are doing Ramadan?
Well, is he in halls? And if so, is he in catered or non-catered accommodation?
Yeah, we're in catered halls.
Yeah, okay. So I was in catered halls for 2 years at Loughborough as well. And the way they do it is what I would do, I don't know if I've changed it, but during lunchtime or breakfast time, I would come in and I would have notified the hall that I'm doing Ramadan. So then instead of me coming for dinner or lunchtime, usually I got breakfast, is they would give me those meals as kind of like, I guess, either like ready meals or as meals that would just be fine for me to put in the fridge basically. So then they would give me that in the morning or at lunchtime for me to pick up and then put it in my fridge and have it afterwards. Luckily, at the time when I was fasting, ISOC was still active doing stuff. So I'd usually put that in the fridge, but then I'd break my fast through ISOC because I would give them my free food. That was just saying a bit better than the catered food is all I'm saying. So I'd usually go there and break my fast with everybody else. And then I'd come back and use that food for Sehri time at night time at 4:30 to kind of use as a means to load up on a bit of food. So that's basically what I did in Loughborough, but not sure if it's changed. But I'm sure the catering thing will be similar where they do give you food to eat at your own time.
Okay, perfect. We're just looking for clarity on that. Thank you.
That's all good.
Nice. Awesome. I think I've got another kind of question for yourself as well. Do you think that any of these habits or this personal growth that you have throughout this month, that it benefits you throughout the rest of the year and that you carry forward as a result? Or do you think it always kind of comes back to this month and that's like your month of appreciation? Or do you think you carry on the appreciation? This is more the start of it or the next level that you take each year?
Yeah, that's a tough one. It's a tough one because I feel like it does vary a lot person to person because I think it does also change as you get older because I feel like in the younger years, it's more so a thing of like everyone tells you, oh yeah, you should fast and everything. But once you kind of go to university and it's a thing where no one's watching you anymore and you're kind of more on your own, that's when I feel like you're really purely doing it for your own means when you haven't got any else being accountable for you to tell you, oh, you're not fasting today or whatever. So I guess when you're doing it yourself, there's a big more emphasis on you actually wanting to personal development yourself than me saying other years. Because I feel like this year, you know, I've been a bit more about the personal development front than some other times. It is somewhat of a meme where, you know, people will, you know, not be as close to the principles. Like, you know, you have people who will, you know, be Muslim, but they'll also like break some rules, like, you know, drink alcohol, maybe smoke some weed, or like do something else. But then it's kind of a meme where during Ramadan is, oh, that's when the month of the halal, and, you know, they'll start praying again. Then after it, they're all gone again. So it does definitely change person to person. But yeah, I think it's all about the intention of the person itself. So for me, I do intend on it carrying through. I do feel like it does always somewhat carry through for a few months, and then perhaps you do lose it a bit, like when it's been a bit far. But yeah, I feel like it's just trying to build those habits, you know, 21-day challenge of trying to build those habits a bit longer, 30 days. But yeah, just trying to build those foundations, I guess, to carry on. I think it's a tent, but may not like carry on for everybody.
Yeah, no, that's super interesting. I think it's almost like exactly that, a 21-day challenge, but all the challenges at once in 1 month. And also
exactly.
no food and drink. It's interesting, isn't it? Like all at once as well. And it kind of it's a shock to the system, should we say.
It's actually easy as well because, you know, everybody else is doing it with you at the same time. So
yeah,
and accountability from everybody.
Yeah, shared experience definitely helps as well. Sammy, over to you.
I was going to ask, like, have you directly noticed it impact your impulse control? Because especially with the water, you're fighting against a pretty strong biological response to want to drink. So I just wonder if you've noticed that translate.
Yeah, 100%. Usually the pattern is the first few days will be your hardest because your body's not used to it. But actually, surprisingly, once you're halfway through it, it's kind of like a lot easier. Your body somewhat kind of like adjusts to this kind of new kind of wave you've had of not having food or drink the entire time. So at the start, especially, the water does really hit you, especially when you're actually doing stuff. I guess it's a bit easier in lockdown because you're not actually going out and about. I remember when I was going to schools and, you know, I'd start PE class and I'd have to run around the field for ages and still, you know, carry on my day. Back then, it used to be, you know, a really, you know, bad experience. But once you do kind of go through it, your body does adjust. So it gets easier and easier throughout the month. So the longer you do it, the easier it gets. So the first time will probably not be the best experience. I'm sure you'll probably struggle a bit. I know, Sammy, you did partially. So Sammy did do the food part yesterday. And he did well, basically, Sammy, wait, do you want me to say it, Sammy? Or
Yeah, go for it.
Oh yeah, Sammy basically took on the challenge, but he made the mistake of not waking up at 4:30 like I told him to, because, you know, you need to pump yourself with food and water before it. He was like, oh no, firm it, it's fine. And then yeah, he realized at 3 p.m. that the water was really getting to him. He was pretty dizzy. It wasn't for him. But Sammy, are you doing it today? Did you say?
Yeah, no, I'm trying it today again.
Right.
It's one of those things that I really want to try because it is that self-control, because it's a hell of a lot harder than I expected it to be.
Yeah. Did you wake up at night time this time, or?
I just went to bed at 3 a.m. like a responsible adult.
Okay. 3 a.m. isn't too bad, so you might manage today. I'm wishing you the best of luck. But yeah, I open up a challenge to anyone else. If you are doing it, let me know. I'm really interested to see how you actually find it.
Okay, perfect. So I think that probably concludes our Lunch and Learn this week. So yeah, thank you, Saadat. Really appreciate that session. It was really, really insightful, both myself and I'm sure for everyone else here as well. So yeah, awesome stuff. And of course, guys, feel free to take on the challenge and let Saadat know how you get on. But that concludes today.